Thank you, Galena, and thank you to Vernon Women in Business and members for this opportunity to present here today. So why am I doing this presentation? Well, to celebrate the 10 full years in business and my connection with Vernon Women in Business. I was the treasurer for 2 years and sponsorship chair of the 2014 and 2015 VWIB Leadership Conference. I also want to recognize that I have formed meaningful relationships with some incredibly dynamic and brilliant women, and I want to include this in my celebration. And to simply share some of my personal and professional experiences from my 10 years in business in hopes that what I have to share may have value to you and to encourage you as I've been encouraged by so many wonderful people. So my first lesson is of support. So in 2014, I was in a crossroads in my life. I had been diagnosed with cancer in my right upper arm, and fortunately, the treatment was simply surgery. Thankfully, no chemo or radiation. 2005, I made the decision to come back to Vernon to eliminate the commute and to reduce stress. At that time, I found myself involved with the North Okanagan Employment Enhancement Society, now rebranded as Nexus BC's self-employment program. The facilitators in this program were extremely supportive. In this program, I created a business plan. This plan was then supported to the board, and if approved, funding for a year to start your new business. My challenge was needing support in marketing and networking. So I wanted to ask the question to the group, are you aware of the resources here in Vernon to support your business? Nexus BC offers employment and other related services, Community Futures, and I can see on their calendar that they are offering a business plan boot camp seminars. It's not a bad idea to keep a business plan updated in case you are ever looking for funding. But I also want to recognize the recent support that I've received from Shirley Higgins, Allie Payne, and Christina Vintners as I prepared for this presentation. The second lesson is on strategic planning and budgeting. So in your packages that are on your tables, I've provided various support articles and documents that may be helpful to use, and one of them is the SMART goal setting. Generally, I begin to do my annual review in the fall, and I look at both the goals I have set for myself and I review my financial statements. So why are the annual SMART goals setting so valuable? Well, for me, it can help me align my values and visions with my goals. And for me, it takes my ideas from my head and it puts them down onto paper. I don't achieve all my goals, but it's still a measuring tool for me. These goals also tie into my annual budgets that I want to achieve financially. So why are budgets so important? Well, for me, it's for the story it tells, and who doesn't like a good story? Is your story adventurous? Is it a thriller? Is it a murder mystery? So we now even have Ben Affleck's movie, The Accountant. So in comparing budget to actual, it's always a really good reality check. Are you overestimating your performances? Or are you underestimating? I generally find when I go back to comparing my budget to my actual, it helps me with my reality to see that I'm actually doing better than I'm actually thinking I am doing. It also helps actually with tax planning and CRA compliance. It helps you when you're comparing your budget to actual to make sure you have the cash flow to deal with your statutory filings, be that GST, PST, your payroll source remittances. It also helps you start to plan what you need to put aside for your tax liability. So lesson 3 is on risk-taking. So even with a business plan that I've calculated to help reduce the risk, there is no guarantees of success. I still needed to launch my business. And once again, I was at that crossroads of my life with my family, finances, and the public practice work I was going in. So did I want to play it safe or step out of my comfort zone? Women are generally not known for taking risks. However, I would not have learned all these life-enriching lessons if I played it safe. However, I do believe that there's an important distinction between due diligent risk, such as preparing a business plan for a new venture, versus careless risk. So even today, there's a risk in doing this presentation. And believe me or not, over the past couple weeks, I've really been doubting myself and wondering, wow, what have I committed myself to? But I came across a recent TED.com article on the transformative power of speaking from the heart. So within a 20-minute maximum speaking time and 10 lessons to share, speaking from my heart is time limited. However, with your feedback, I will still learn from taking this risk. What could I have improved on? And what may I have added some value to you? Plus, it will be very interesting to see what doors may open by taking this risk now or in the future. The fourth lesson has been on failure. So what is failure? Is it good? Is it bad? Or simply an event we can grow and learn from? I don't like to fail, and I keep working to believe that failures are only failures if I don't learn from them. I started my self-employment as a sole practitioner, renting office space from a colleague. When the lease came up, we decided to go in a partnership with a 5-year plan on succession. 18 months into the partnership, at the new location, where I had invested considerable cash and sweat equity, my partner wanted to end the partnership and retire early. Honestly, the reality that my former partner wanted to end the partnership scared the bejeebers out of me. Why? First, because to me, the failure of the partnership was a very tough, unplanned challenge to get through. And secondly, it was definitely the fear of the unknown and what the future would look like. So a friend and colleague of mine, Menza Bowen, challenged me, Charlene, what do you want to create? So out of this failed partnership, I was able to create my new office location that has very little risk attached to it. And in looking back, I realized that even though the partnership did not work out, a better opportunity for me to have my own location opened up. The next lesson is on self-care. Now, self-care is not taught in any business administration program or CPA program. However, I believe self-care needs to be a priority. If we don't prioritize and take good care of ourselves first, what do you really have to give to your clients or your business? I believe there are some foundational components to self-care. One is adequate sleep, good nutrition, exercise, meditation or centering on your breath, staying in the present moment. And I think these all tie into supporting good mental health. And on the topic of mental health, please be considerate of who you may interact with, as no matter what you see on the outside or what titles a person may have, we never know what internal struggles they may be dealing with. I just became aware of Bell's Mental Health January 25th initiative and went online to check it out. There are some very interesting video clips there, and I do encourage you to also take a look. So why do I promote self-care in both my personal and professional life? Well, personally, it is to do whatever I can so that the cancer does not return in my life. And secondly, to model to my clients the importance of self-care. No business is worth your life or your health, as we are first human beings and not professional robots. 6, the lesson of being a rebel. I'm not a person who likes to break rules or be in non-compliance. I like Neil Bohr's quote, "Every valuable human being must be a radical and a rebel, for what she must aim at is to make things better than that they are." So yes, the rebel in me purposely changed the gender in this quote. But one of our members recently posted on Facebook last week, and this was wanting to be a badass. Well, in 2012, I was nominated for the RBC Canadian Women's Entrepreneurial Award. The rebel decision was to be a radical and invest time and financial resources to host a women's leadership workshop at Sparkling Hills. At this workshop, I played Brene Brown's TED.com talk on vulnerability. This rebel in me learned a lot about myself and the rewards vulnerability can give you. The feedback I received was really amazing and how it changed my negative thinking. But I did not think I needed to host a second workshop. Well, that was until I read Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In. And then I got all inspired to do the conference again. At that conference, we had some phenomenal local speakers, Allie Payne, Val Woods, Pam Thompson, and Sarah Gabrielle, with Ashley Duggins and Sproing Creative taking photos and creating videos. At that point, at the end of the second conference, I really felt I had leaned in to my comfort, or stepped out of my comfort zone and grown. And fortunately, at that point, Shirley Higgins was the president of Vernon Women in Business and was really interested in transitioning this leadership conference into Vernon Women in Business. And this year was the third year with Sherry Lukey and her team putting on a phenomenal workshop. Congratulations, ladies. The next lesson has been on relationships. This is a tough lesson. Communication is so critical, and yet so many of us communicate differently and have different trigger points. I am very grateful for the supportive relationships I've had with my vendors, Sproing Creative, Protocol Technologies, Wayside Press, and others. Even with my great vendors, we still can have our communication challenges. But I have found every time, even if it feels like an arm wrestle, the professional relationship is important and we work to resolve the issues. Mentors, I can't say enough about how important these relationships are. My professional and good friend mentor, Mr. Bob Schuler, has been a practicing CPA for over 50 years. I truly do not work without some fabulous support. The VWIB member relationships, thank you. I have relationships with some of you, lovely ladies, that have had conflict, but we figured it out. And with that, I've grown to respect and value this relationship even more. Clients' relationships, these ones can be tough. In a smaller community, that boundary between professional and personal relationships can be blurred. Brene Brown's TED.com presentation, she says, vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. I think it is from a place of vulnerability when my intent is to provide the very best service as an established boutique accounting firm. And when that service is not appreciated, it's a tough pill to swallow. However, what I continue to work on is staying open and being vulnerable for those clients who appreciate and respect this level of honesty. Lesson 8, negative feedback. Ouch. I don't like this when the intent is to misalign or attack. The positive impact of negative feedback is that if it is to misalign or attack, it's to learn to be my own advocate and to know my value. Another positive impact is that it gives me an opportunity to work on my listening and problem-solving skills. What I've learned over 10 years is some situations are resolvable and others not so. And from these situations, what have I learned? When people are highly critical of me, there are 3 groups of people who respond to the criticism. First are the people who are believing what is being said about me. Second are people who are neutral to the criticism. And third are the people who have my back. I'm learning to let go of what I cannot control in the criticism and focus on what I do have in the positivity of good clients and friends. I came across a really great example on Facebook this past week, and I would like to share it with you. So what I have here is a lovely $100 bill that I would like to give to somebody in the audience. Who would like to have it? Wonderful. It's nice and crisp and new, but what if I took this $100 bill and now folded it in half? It's not so crisp and wonderful. So does it still have value to you? Do you still want this $100 bill? Interesting. Now what if I take this and I'm really going to just try to squish it and crunch it and just make it not so crisp. So now really when I open it up, it's really not so fresh anymore. It's wrinkly, it's got creases in it. Do you still want that $100 bill? Very interesting. The point is that this $100 bill has never lost its value. You haven't lost your value when life comes and throws you those nasty curveballs, when you get that negative criticism, when people are being unfair or life just feels unjust to you. You haven't lost your value. And neither do most of us when we get that criticism. It's an opportunity sometimes for us to learn. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take this $100 bill and it's going to be donated to Musadi, which is a self-supporting, not-for-profit organization in San Ramon, Costa Rica, who are also celebrating their 30th year as they work to empower women in their region. The next lesson here I'd like to share is on sabbaticals. It's a word derived from the word Sabbath, to rest. So in 2015, I found myself overextended. It was an accumulation of both personal and professional challenges and changes. I couldn't take that traditional sabbatical from my business and not work. However, I could pull back and take a sabbatical from being overly involved. Personally, this was not taking a trip with my husband that we had discussed. Professionally, this was not signing up for local golf tournaments or attending functions. Sabbaticals can have enormous benefits, and it did for me. It gave me a refreshed perspective on where I was, where I am, and where I wanted to go. So the final lesson I'd like to share is the lesson of celebrating. So this is a fun lesson. So I would like all of you to take out that large gold star that's on the packages on the tables, and I want you to really consider this. So New Year's are great for looking ahead, for making new resolutions, new plans for both your professional and personal lives. But we also need to pause and reflect and celebrate all that we have accomplished. So I want to ask you, what did you do, create, or experience in this past year that you're very, very proud of? And I want you to write that on that gold star, and I want you to put that gold star on your bathroom mirror, your office wall, by your monitor, somewhere prominent, and really celebrate that experience. So 3 months ago, while I was still enjoying my sabbatical, I wanted to celebrate my 10 years in business. I've learned so many enriching life experiences, supported by so many caring and brilliant people in my community. And I've had the privilege to work with so many fantastic clients that in the first creative idea was to give this presentation. Not only to celebrate being in business for 10 years, but also to honor the process and the people who helped me. And it's also a good time to announce that my new website is up and is now cell phone friendly. So what I would like to close with is who in here in the audience has been in business for 10 years or more? Fabulous. You next need to be up here presenting your celebration. Thank you.